CeMAP is stressful. It's really hard to do. It's probably the most asked question I get asked about. And I'm a business coach. I help mortgage brokers grow and build themselves out in this industry. But CeMAP, that's where we need the real expert in. And Charlotte Hemingway from Future in Finance is that expert. I've known Charlotte for a long time. I love what she does because you need to have good people in your corner. And Charlotte is a good person. I sat down with her and asked her what her top 10 tips for passing CeMAP right now. And I tell you what, there's some absolute gold in there. There's stuff I didn't even know. If you want to work with Charlotte, we've got links. She talks about stuff. You can go and chat with her. There's links all in the show notes. We'll put it all in there for you. But please, please, please do check all her stuff out and enjoy the episode. Got any questions as well? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them, or if not, I'll forward them to Charlotte. So Charlotte, what would you say is the first tip then for kind of passing CeMAP or studying for CeMAP that you've got?
Definitely to set a goal for when you want to get qualified. Because with CeMAP, with it being 3 different exams, that's technically 5 exams, which I'll come on to in another point, people just get lost. They have no end goal to it. And they think, okay, I'll start studying for CeMAP now. But if you don't give yourself a time limit for when you want to get qualified, what happens is you just fall off the bandwagon completely. Whereas if you're in January and you go, okay, I want to be qualified by the end of the year, you can set really specific goals. So you can say, okay, so that's an exam every 4 months, and then you break it down that way. Having the end goal in sight, or at least the date that you want to be qualified for, just tends to work better for people. It keeps them on track instead of completely falling off the rails and just forgetting about it 6 months down the line, which can sometimes happen.
Definitely, yeah. I definitely think that happens a lot more than people actually realize. I'm sure you've seen it happen all the time with your line of work.
100%, yeah. And it's interesting because one of my next tips that we'll come on to is I always say, don't pay for your exam straight off the bat. And that's difficult because the financial commitment makes people think that they'll do it. But actually, if you pay for all of your exams and Walbrook Institute will encourage you to do it all at once as a bundle, you immediately get an 18-month timer. You have to pass the exams or you have to pay for them again. So
That's
my
interesting.
second tip that I was going to go on to was not to pay for your exams first. Actually, decide that you want to do it. If you want to do it with the textbook, you don't get your textbook when you pay for the exams anymore. So they used to post it out to you.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. They'll give you a digital version, which is fine. But if you want a physical version, which a lot of people do, you have to order it off Amazon for like 11 quid anyway.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so what I would say is don't pay for your exams at all. Pay for them like the day before you want to sit them, because then you've got the longest timer possible and you're not going to be worried about time pressure. Whereas I get a lot of people that come to me and they go, oh my God, Charlotte, I've got 4 weeks left and I need to do it because I don't want to pay another
And I'm halfway through the book.
£700. Yeah, exactly. So don't pay for your exams at all. You can get digital copies of the textbook pretty much anywhere. Like everyone tends to just share them between themselves across Facebook and everywhere else. But the textbooks, they actually will just send you an Amazon link, and I can send you the Amazon link if you want to put it in
Yeah,
the description for people.
absolutely.
Do
We'll
that
put it in the description.
first.
That'll be great.
But yeah, there's no point setting yourself up for failure by pressuring yourself with £690 just to register for the exams because it doesn't really give you anything.
What about number 3 then? Because that was a really nice segue into number 2 straight away. What about number 3? What's tip number 3?
Tip number 3, and this is a new one for the 2026 material, is don't sit CeMAP 1 first.
Oh, okay.
So it used to be, you'll remember this with the old material, everybody would say, sit CeMAP 1, then do 2 and 3. And they'd say CeMAP 1 is boring, but once you've done it, you'll feel a
Yeah.
lot more comfortable with 2 and 3. When they changed it, they changed CeMAP 1 into what we call FSRE, or
Yeah.
Financial Services Regulation and Ethics. That's a level 4 exam, whereas CeMAP as a whole is still level 3, and CeMAP 2 and 3 are level 3 as well. FSRE is hard, like it's a harder exam by nature because it's the next level up qualification wise.
It's the equivalent of RO1, isn't it? It's the same as RO1. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so it is the equivalent to RO1 for anybody that doesn't know what RO1 is. It's the equivalent to your first year at university, whereas level 3 is the equivalent to college. So
Yeah.
there is that jump. Anybody that's done that jump will know what that feels like. If you sit CeMAP 2 and 3 first, you have a much better chance of a first time pass with FSRE because you already you figured out what the exam looks like. You figured out how to study with CeMAP 2 and 3, and the CeMAP 2 and 3 exams, they are easier.
CMAT
So
1 was hard anyway, like, because it's a lot of information. And that's what I did RO1 myself. And that's why I was asking that, because I remember being RO1 first, failing RO1 and having to go back again and do it the following week
yeah,
because it was like very hard, very, very, very hard. And then passing the other, like the CF6 or whatever it was, straight away. But
Mhm.
the RO1 really like was brutally difficult.
This, I wish I could sugarcoat it, but it is brutally difficult.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
really, really hard. But I think when you start with CMAP 2 and 3, because that's all to do with mortgages and solicitors and surveys, like it's stuff that you might know a little bit about, even if you don't work in mortgages or in financial advice. Fishery is just not that. Fishery is like, hey, what year did this bit of legislation come into place?
yeah,
Do you know what the name of the German stock market is? Like, it's nothing to do with mortgages. It's all to do with, investments, pensions, and regulation. So if you get into the good habits with CMAP 2 and 3, you do the case studies in CMAP 3, you've got case studies in fishery. And it turns out that's what's throwing a lot of people off with this new CMAP 1 exam because I got a lot of students that the cutoff, actually, we're recording this, the cutoff for the old CMAP 1 is in 10 days' time.
yeah,
So by the time this comes out, it will probably be dead in the water anyway.
yeah.
But when people are moving or choosing to switch over to fishery, it's the case study bits that they're struggling with. So with fishery, it's two halves of an exam, 40 questions each, which you can study for separately. I wouldn't recommend that you do that, and I'll do that as another tip in a second. But it's 25 questions that are just standalone multiple choice, which you're used to. But the last 15 questions are case study based questions, and they just wig people out. Like it doesn't matter who you are, they just wig people out. And it's unnecessary because actually, with about 60% of the case study questions, you don't even have to read the case study to answer them. But nobody knows that. And nobody believes me when they go into their exam the first time round. It's only on a resit when I say, hey, don't read the case study and see how you get on. And they go, oh my God, Charlotte, I passed and I didn't even read the case study. So it's just a mental block,
Yeah.
really. But yeah, definitely start with CMAP 2 and 3, box those off, then loop back round to the tougher one.
Love that. What's number four? What's tip number four?
Tip number 4, decide what it's worth to get qualified. And this is kind of a new concept of thing for me to talk about because the number of students that I have that come to me after failing like 3, 4, 5 times on the bounce, and then they're like, okay, now I'll get help. But you've already spent hundreds of pounds on resit fees, whereas if you get support straight off the bat, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like expensive support, it can be the free support or whatever, but if you choose what it's worth to you initially and invest ahead of time, you'll probably end up saving money doing it first than doing it after you've failed the exam 1, 2, 3, or 4 times. Because by that point, you're just frustrated and you don't want to spend any more money. So I always say to people, think about what you want to invest in this first. And if that's nothing, fine. You don't have to use a provider like me or anybody else to get qualified. You just got to understand that it's probably going to take you a little bit longer and it's probably going to be a little bit tougher to do it without support, but there's nothing wrong with that. So we say to people, think about the cost first. How many times do you want to resit and how do you want to mitigate that? Because actually, if you look at something like an e-learning package, people pass the e-learning package first time pretty successfully in, I would say, 85% of instances with the guys that
Yeah.
I work with. And actually, the cost of that is you've massively saved on your resit fees that you've avoided.
Yeah, does make sense. I think I think a bit of a lesson in life in general is that, I think just because you can do it for free doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yeah.
And most people do. It's hard. I would, if you do it on your own, completely on your own, I mean, hats off to anyone who's watching this who's doing that and gets through it and kind of white knuckles through it, but I couldn't have done that. No chance. No chance.
It's the timing thing as well. If you look at what Walbrook Institute say, they say, okay, study for 6 months per exam.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That means it's going to take you roughly 18 months to get qualified. But then if you want to do it before that, you can do it just by spending a little bit of money. What's that time worth? Like you can do
You
it in
can do
two
it in 4 to
weeks.
6 weeks if you actually study properly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's figuring out what that time is worth before you go into it just makes a massive difference.
Yeah. No, but that's what's interesting with that is that and we'll move on to tip five, but it's interesting because you've had years of figuring it out. That's the thing. You've seen it work, not work. That's the bit. You've got that experience, which is so interesting. This is like how many times we've spoken about this over the years, but like I'm enjoying listening to your tips, how they've evolved even from when we spoke about it 18 months ago.
I was thinking about that as I was talking about it, thinking, God, everything has changed since the last time we did
Yeah.
this. It's not actually been that long of a length of time.
About a year, I think maybe I think about 18 months since we last did an episode together. About 9 months since we last spoke. But it was all changing when we last spoke. That was when it was all about to happen.
Yeah, and this was a really good time to do this because it was 7 months into the new content. Because when it first came out, I built something and I had no idea whether it was going to work or not. And
Yes.
actually, the one of the next tip I was going to move on to was
Yep.
about CMAP 1 or FISRI specifically. Walbrook Institute tell you to study for Unit 1 and Unit 2 separately. I have tried and tested that for the last 6 months and it does not work. Like 100% of people don't pass when they study for them separately. So when I initially launched the FISRI course, I would get students to study for Unit 1 first, sit the Unit 1 exam, and the majority of them were not passing on the first go. So I switched things up a little bit and got them to study for the whole of FISRI in one go and then sit the units back to back. And the pass first time rates jumped by about 50%. So every student that I've worked with since, especially on the 5 day fast track courses, because I teach them Monday to Thursday, and then on the Friday, I actually get them to sit their exams in the course with me now so that I know by 5 o'clock on the Friday we're all done and I don't have to pick up any support with anybody.
Yeah.
All of them after each unit will jump into a Zoom call with me and tell me how it went. Everybody says that there's crossover in the material, even though Walbrook Institute say, no, no, you can definitely study for them separately. I've actually been fed back certain bits of like questions where I've gone looking for the answer in the Unit 1
It's not in
textbook
there.
and the answer's in the Unit 2 textbook. So definitely for anybody that's studying for CMAP 1, do not study for the units separately. That is the biggest tip that I can give for anybody.
That is funny because when I do my research for my own like CMAP content that I do, which I don't really do very often, but it's always linking back to you anyway because you're the coach. That's what I kept coming up with was that the Walbrook Institute kept saying, "Oh, you can do it separately. You can do these things, these 5 exams, three." So confusing. 3 modules, 5 exams, so 5 units, and yeah, that's a really interesting point. I quite like that.
The good thing about what they've done though, so if Visri aside, because study for those and sit those together, CMAP 2, it used to be 4 exams that you would sit all at once. They've changed it now, so it's 2 exams that you can study for and sit separately, and you
Yeah,
should. That's a lot easier because one of the big problems is fatigue, right? People get 75 questions in to a 100 question paper and they're just knackered by that point. But actually, now with CMAP 2, you can study the first textbook first, sit 50 questions. You need 35 out of 50 to pass. That's pretty achievable for most people before moving on to the
yeah,
MRT2 content. The only risk that people run with the new style is people forget that CMAP 3 is all of CMAP 2 plus CMAP 3. And what a lot of students have started doing is they pass the first half of CMAP 2 and they take a month off. And then they start studying for the second half of CMAP 2. They pass that, then they move on to CMAP 3. They've forgotten everything from the
yeah.
first half of CMAP 2, which you need to pass it. So definitely make sure that for anybody that's doing CMAP 2 and 3, keep the wheels turning. So don't stop between exams. And it's really tempting because everybody's like, I'll just have a few days. And that few days turns into a hot couple of weeks because the weather's nice and you just struggle
Easy.
to get
Yeah.
back into it. But then they end up having to redo all of CMAP 2 anyway. And by that point, they just hate it and they just want to be done with it. So
Oh
don't do
God,
that.
yeah, no, that's it. What's number 6? What's the sixth tip?
Number 6 was work smart, not hard.
Oh,
So
classic,
the classic
cliche.
one, yeah, but it's really overlooked. And I
Yeah,
think probably the last time a lot of people studied might have been like school, college, or university, where we're just used to spending 8 hours a day studying.
yeah,
You can't do that as a grown up with a full-time job or with kids, or even if you've not got one of those things, it's still really hard to just sit there and focus and study. And actually, if somebody spends 40 minutes of study a day instead of 2 hours, you are likely to pass in almost double the time. And it's
yeah,
almost a weird phenomenon that I can't quite figure out the maths behind it. But when I work with students one to one, because I've started offering one to one coaching, they'll go, I can do 3 hours tonight. And I go, cool, just do 40 minutes. Like,
yeah.
don't do 3 hours because I can guarantee that by the time they get to 40 minutes, they've probably zoned out. They're probably thinking about the washing or what they're going to have for dinner tomorrow or something else. And they just don't get good study time in. But actually, if you set a timer for like 30 to 40 minutes, chuck your phone out the window or at least in another room so that you're not distracted by it and just have 40 focused minutes, you will get through it so much quicker. And you generally don't have to recap material because that's where people fall down. They get through it and then they go, I still don't feel like I know anything. I'll just start again. And then it's just a vicious cycle. But if you know
Yeah.
you're just doing 40 minutes a day or every other day, but it's 40 good minutes, you'll just automatically realize you don't have to recap when you get to the end of it and you'll sail through.
That's a very good point. And in fact, it's the underpinning what I teach when I work with people as a coach and stuff, is that is like for myself, even with like videos or content or anything, but let's say videos, like do one video a day, and they're like, yeah, I can do five today. I'm like, no, don't, just do one. Just do
Yeah.
one. Like daily, every day. It's got to be to the point where it's so easy that you just go, I'll pick it up, talk. So I love, it's the hack to everything really. And I did it when we were painting our house. Paint one skirting board every day. And
Yeah.
that's what, and it was funny how we did the whole hallway in like by a week. But I was like, oh, between clients, I'll just paint one skirting board, couple of coats. And it was funny, like by the end, it had all been done.
It's hard because I think as grown-ups, we're told to just work, work, work,
Yeah.
and just keep working. Like we're so used to this idea of like a 7, 8, or 9 hour working day. But actually, all the science has proven that if we cut our working week by 2 whole days, we probably wouldn't lose anything from a
No,
productivity perspective.
we
It's just
wouldn't.
what we think we should be doing, but it's not right. And I think especially for people who have ADHD, for anyone who's dyslexic or dyspraxic, your brain is not going to let you sit there for probably more than 30 minutes, but you can still get a good 30 minutes in with that. So, and people just need to recognize that we can't sit there for 2 hours anymore off nothing but cigarettes and Red Bull because we're just not that old anymore, or not that young anymore. Like we just can't do it.
I love that. What's number seven?
Don't do it on your own.
Okay.
And that's hard if you're not working in a brokerage or if you've got nobody else that wants to do CMAP. But actually, there's so many places that you can go to talk to other people that are doing exactly what you're doing. So there's loads of really good Facebook groups if anybody's on Facebook. I have a WhatsApp community, which at the minute I think is cracking about 600 CMAP students in there. And it's a really great place to be because it's free to join, but you got other people that are in the same boat as you. So when you're frustrated talking about tax for the 14th time on a Sunday afternoon, you can guarantee that somebody else in that group chat is also doing the same thing. And it's almost like that collective suffering just makes everybody feel a little bit better because that's what it is a lot of the time. But also, people will give you ideas that you might not have thought of, or send resources from things like my YouTube channel. Somebody can ask a question, and before I've got chance to even go in and answer, somebody else has sent them the relevant video that they needed. So there's so much value in them. It's 100% worth being, if not in a Facebook group, at least in the WhatsApp community. I would just recommend to anybody that joins it to mute it because there are people that study at like 3 o'clock in the morning and they are not shy of putting a message in that group chat at 3 in the morning.
I love that. And there's complete lack of understanding of anybody else's time. I
Yeah,
know.
that's exactly it.
We have a dog, like the person who bred our dogs has like, he's got loads of, he's a breeder for those things. And he does a WhatsApp group for everybody who owns one. I hate a WhatsApp group. And like, it's constantly going off with photos of dogs. Now I love a photo. I know you love a photo of a dog, but like, there's only so much before you're like, all right, cool. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want to see your dog. Of which my dog, they all look the same. So
Yeah, they're all
because
identical.
they're all identical because they don't. There's no way the breed can look any different. So I'm like, cool, cool. That's cute. Wow. So I know. That feeling. That
Yeah,
makes me laugh.
definitely learn how to mute
Speaking
groups.
of
For
dogs.
anybody that's in, yeah, exactly. Right in my pillows as well in the good spot. Anybody that's in like a preschool or a primary school group chat knows the feeling of like just having to mute a group before your head falls off.
Oh gosh, absolutely. Number eight. What's number eight?
Number 8 is to start thinking about what comes after CMAP before you actually get qualified, because I found a lot of people now, they're so focused on getting CMAP that they get to CMAP and then they message me and they're like, oh my God, Charlotte, what do I do now? And actually, start thinking about that ahead of time. Like, what do you want to do? Because there's a big difference between being an employed mortgage advisor versus being a self-employed mortgage advisor. And either of them are going to need prep. Like, start looking for jobs once you've got your first couple of exams in the bag, or start thinking about potential networks that you want to join or people that you might want to reach out to ahead of time because CMAP is just the first step. Like, it's just a tick box exercise. It does not give you any grasp of actually how do you do the job? What should I think about? And for a lot of people who do want to go self-employed, they're probably conscious of the fact that they maybe have a financial buffer. They've quit their job to go self-employed to finish CMAP and then to go, oh, okay, I now need to go through all of the checks and everything else and actually find a company that I want to go and work for.
Yeah.
That takes a long time. And you can do a lot of that legwork and a lot of that prep before you've got that last exam in the bag.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I couldn't agree more. I think that that's probably harder in some cases, understanding those, navigating what that is and getting it right. And you don't need to be waiting. I always say to people, actually, with marketing, you can start making content talking about the stuff you're learning in your CMAP. Like I always say that, like you should. It's just publicly information. You're not saying you're an advisor, but you can talk about that stuff because the sooner you're doing this stuff, the sooner you're educating everybody around you. Hey, I'm going to be doing this, or I am doing this. I think that's probably really good advice. Yeah.
And for anybody who goes into it, nobody is going to set up an Instagram account and then find a client on day one.
No.
So, like you said, like building that platform ahead of time and getting yourself out there, not necessarily giving financial advice because you can't do that, but just making your safe self available and having posts ahead of time that are dead generic is going to pay off tenfold because it's
The
really
one
scary
I
to
did,
start
and
from
just
post one.
give you one tip on that one. The one I did when I was a broker, the little tip around that was I made content around the buying a house because it's completely unregulated, completely fine, completely public information. So I actually did. I googled this years ago. It was a long, long time ago now. I googled Martin Lewis's 50 top tips for buying a house, and then I printed them all off, and then every day I would read them and go cool, and then I'll do a video about the tip, my own point on it. But like that's what I did, and it's completely fine.
And now we have Claude and ChatGPT and all these
Yeah,
amazing things that can support with that. Like you could have a year's worth of content prepped and planned before you've got CMAP
100%.
qualified and running down with it. So yeah, I think
So
that's a
it's
good one.
absolutely, yeah, easy. Number nine, we're coming in for the final two. What's number
Number nine,
nine?
Number nine is really to do with the cheapest way for anybody that just wants to get CMAP qualified and spend little to no money.
Yeah.
You've got your exam fees, which are unavoidable. And I'm going to tie this in with the new exam sitting software because this is a bit of an important one. But you can do it with just the textbook. You're talking £11 per textbook. The CMAP 3 textbook they don't sell on Amazon. You have to get the digital version, and it's tricky to find, but it is in your portal. So don't go in if you've not seen anything about life insurance and protection, you ain't found your CMAP 3 stuff. So make sure that you find that one.
That's interesting.
But mock papers, and I scream about this all the time. So many people fully grasp the textbook material and they feel dead confident going into their exam, and then they go in there and it's like reading French for the first time ever. Like the language that they use in those exams is so overcomplicated. It is designed to trip people up. And if you've never seen what those exams look like, you're pretty much destined to fail no matter how spectacular you are at revision. I always give the example of, Duolingo, the language app. Like on the first day, you're really frustrated because you're trying to learn Spanish and the only word you know is mini market because it's like mini market. But by like week three, you know what apple and wine and more please is.
Yeah.
It's the same with the mock papers. You can buy the mock papers from the LIBF portal, and I would recommend everybody does that. As if that's all you're going to do, fine. That's all the money that you have to spend. Obviously, you can upgrade to things like an e-learning platform that will have mock papers built into them. But if you don't want to put that financial outlay out there, as a minimum, get your hands on the mock papers and do them to death. The first time people do them, they will fail spectacularly.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection on them, it's just part of the process. But you'll rinse and repeat them, and you'll go from like a 35% pass rate to a 95% pass rate. And that's when you know you're actually ready to sit the exams, but don't skip that step because it's so important. On the exams though, because one thing we haven't spoken about since the last time we got together was the new exam software.
Okay.
So they've binned off test centre exams now completely. You used to be able to book in and go to like a theory
Yeah.
test centre to sit the
It's all
exam.
gone.
It's all gone now. It's all online. Actually, the software's pretty good. So it had a couple of glitches initially, but they've all been phased out now. And you don't have to book to sit your exam, which is well handy. So you literally log into your portal, press go, and that's it. You are live with
Oh,
LIBF. That's
wow.
it. It's really good and it's really convenient because it means when I run my fast track courses, I get them to sit their exams as we go. And I'm like, cool, everybody's going to log off and log into their exam. So that's dead handy, but there are a couple of bits to be aware of with it. The first one is the ID scanning, and I'm kind of going to give a bit of a demonstration if that's all right, because this
Yeah,
is
go
the
for it.
thing that's going to
Please do.
be tripping a lot of people up. So it gives you like a box where you have to fit your ID into the box. It's a little bit glitchy, or it has been recently, because people just immediately like hold it up like that and it's dead blurred. If you start from back here and like zoom it in really, really slow, it will come into focus eventually until you're in the box. But it takes time, like anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour amount of time.
To
And
get the
it does,
ID check.
yeah, and it doesn't let you skip that step either. It will basically give you like a green tick or a red cross, and you can't continue on until you've done it. So you can run a systems test where it will get you to test this feature and you can kind of get used to it when you've not got your exam nerves. Even if you get green tick on the test feature, it doesn't save your ID. You still have to do it in your actual exam. So test it out first, but just be prepared for the fact that it's going to take you a bit of time. And the difficulty is you're already stressed because you're going into an exam. If you
Yeah.
have to fart about with your ID, you're immediately like up here before you get into the exam. So that's tip number one is just to breathe through that and just accept that it is what it is. If anybody does get a green tick, and they still don't think it's clear, you can email it in after your exam and they'll sign you off. So it's no big deal if it's still a little bit blurry. You then have to do a room scan. And what they get you to do is pick your laptop up and spin it round. I would give you a demonstration, but the state of my desk, I couldn't bring myself to do it. So the one tip for that is make sure you take a step back before you do it, because a lot of students, if you rotate your laptop, it's probably just going to get wall, 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 and that's fine, except they can't see your desk. So
They've
make
got to
sure you
see
take a
this.
step back and tilt it because they have to see your desk. And if they don't, and you sit the exam, they'll fail you after you've sat it because they didn't see your desk on the room scan. So just make sure that you tilt it slightly, give them a good view of the desk, which needs to be completely clear, and a little bit of under the desk as well, so that they can see that there's nothing in there. Because the worst thing that can happen is you sit it and you pass, and then they retract your results. That's like worst case
Yeah.
scenario. And then once you've through all that, it's basically it gets recorded and you've got AI software that monitors it, which is great, but also can sometimes cause problems because if there is any noise or movement whatsoever, like Fox in the background on the bed, that would trigger the software to be like, you cheating, there's some movement in the background, don't do it again, or we'll kick you out. Now, it's very rare that people get kicked out, but it can be things like a shadow of curtains blowing or a bumblebee buzzing around the desk. Like it can be anything.
Oh,
And
wow.
you get this pop-up box that says violation. That's going to stress people out and it throws them off the game completely. If there is a violation, they'll just send the footage off to be watched by a real life human being before they sign it off. So it's not the end of the world, but
Okay.
if you don't know about it, you will freak out about it on the day. And eye contact. I had a student, poor Donna, who sat both of her exams with me in a fast track course. And throughout the 2 hours that she sat the exam, for 20 seconds while she was thinking, she was looking down while she was thinking. And she passed, and then they failed her because they said she was cheating because she was looking down. You have to look at the screen the whole time. If you look anywhere else, they can redact your score. And I've had a couple of people since then say they haven't worked with me, but they've messaged me
Yeah.
and said
Had it
it's
happen to
happened to
them.
me. Yeah, so it's just little things like that that
That's
you're not really
important to
aware
know.
of.
That's important to know. Wow.
When you come out of your exam, though, your results are pretty much ready straight away. And that makes a big difference because either it will say fail and it just gives you fail straight away, or it says pending. And if it says pending, that means that you passed and they're just going to watch the footage to make sure that you've not cheated before they release the results. And
Yeah.
that's been 100% of instances of people that I worked with over the last 7 months with that new software. That's how it's worked. So it's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
much foolproof with it.
Pretty cool and kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely a double-edged sword. It's better because you can sit it whenever you're ready and you don't have to book it.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've nailed like the ID check, for example. They just haven't nailed that yet. And it would be much simpler just to get people to email in their ID once they pay for their exams and it's done once because at the minute you have to do it for all five of your exams.
Yeah.
And it's like we could avoid that.
What's number 10?
Number 10 is to book in a free chat with me.
I
So
was going to say it's better be that.
yeah,
Good.
I have a new feature where anybody that's either thinking about studying for CeMAP or is studying for CeMAP and has been struggling can book in a 20-minute discovery call, Zoom call with me, and I will give you as much knowledge as I can in that 20 minutes to kind of set you off on the right foot. And it's not about me trying to sell you products, whilst yes, I absolutely can talk to you about options. Actually, if you turn up and you go, I want to do CMAP, but what's my best avenue? I've got so much free content, but it's dotted all around the place.
Yeah.
So I can compile it and I can send you a follow-up WhatsApp message with all of the information. And everybody that's done it has been like, this is the thing that I needed to figure out what I do next. Because if you're just wanting to do CMAP, but you've got no plan, it's overwhelming. Like it's a lot to take on board. I can give you that first step and just set you on your way with it. And if you want to come back and invest in support, great, but you don't have to.
Qualifying to be a mortgage broker is one thing, but then you've got all the other side of it, the sales scripts, the information. And I recently made a video on exactly that, what you can say in your discovery calls to make sure that you actually get people to say yes and work with you and start making money. So make sure if you want to watch that one, click on screen right now. I'll see you over there. Bye.